Hello and welcome to our next video. In this lesson, we're going to get logged in at BitBucket and create a repository to store our code as we create it and as we commit and push out on bitbucket.org. Now this is really awesome because we're going to see that this will ultimately get us wired up for continuous integration and development and release. But also now if something happens to my computer, my repository is stored in a third-party location and I can easily get my code back. So if you don't have a BitBucket account, you'll need to register for one. Now I have one already, so I don't need to sign up for an account, but you can see I'm already wired up here. I'm just going to go ahead and log in. And I have a lot of different things going on, of course, different repositories, different things I've been building. But what I'm going to do is create a new repository. And here I'm going to call this contact web. And I'm going to keep it private. I don't need to share it with anybody right now. I may make that public later just because of this course. I haven't decided yet. But for right now, I'm going to keep it private. Now, this is really one of the advantages of BitBucket over GitHub. In GitHub, you have to pay in order to get a private repo. But here, I can keep my stuff private, and nobody will see it except for me and my team. And BitBucket is also free up to 5 people on your team. So if you have multiple developers, obviously, as long as you have less than 5, you are good to go with BitBucket. I'm going to be using Git, not Mercurial. So Git is our tool. If you want to look at some advanced stuff, you could create a description. You can, allow private or public forking, wikis, issue tracking. This language here is going to be C#. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm not wired up with HipChat, so let's go ahead and just create the repository as it is. And actually, I'm going to throw a description in here just so that I can make sure I remember. This is my MVC course web app for content management. Of course, you could put whatever makes sense to you. Create your repository. And basically at this point, that's my repository, but nothing's going on. You have 2 options. I'm starting from scratch, which we aren't, or I have an existing project, which we already did our repo. And so you can see here, you need to grab this URL, https:// your username at bitbucket.org / whatever it tells you, whatever you named it, .git. And that will give you the command line that you could actually just run from a command line if you wanted to. And we're going to do it actually very easily through the Git GUI by copying this URL. I'm going to go to Git. Now I'm still in my repository for contact web. So what I'm going to do is actually close this out. Assuming you started the video over, you may not be. So I'm going to go back to contact web. I'm going to say Git GUI here. Now it should know there's already a GUI there. And this is awesome. We have some loose objects. Let's go ahead and compress it. And so if you see that, just go ahead and compress it. No big deal. Takes a minute. Good to go. And we'll note the success message. We're going to see that quite a few times. Now, when I have my stuff ready to go, if I was ordinarily staging and committing, I would do that. I would go ahead and commit like we did in the last video. The next thing I want to do is push. So when I push, it's going to bring me up a new menu, allowing me to choose the branch I want to push. Now, we're not going to go deep into source control in this course. We're going to keep this as basic as possible for a number of reasons. Number 1, it'll just be easier. Number 2, going into the theory and branching and things like that and merging would be great, but it's a little bit beyond the scope of what we need. So if you're looking for more in-depth on Git and how to work with source control, I would recommend, finding some tutorials and just doing that. But let's get familiar with just the basic pushing, and we'll always be working on the master branch so we don't have to worry about trying to merge things back into our master before pushing. So we just paste our arbitrary location here that was given to us from that web page. So again, if you need that again, go out to the I have an existing project on your whatever your name of your repository is, and you should be able to get that URL right there. So once you have your URL, again, just make sure that's what you're putting into this arbitrary location. You're going to go ahead and push it. You can force overwrite if you want to. Now, this is our first push, so we shouldn't need to force. And there's some other options here. Most of the time, we're just going to push it basically. And if we had some error, we might do a force, but for the most part, we shouldn't need to do that. Now it'll take a moment here. As we push, it's going to ask for my password, sometimes multiple times, up to 3 or 4 times, depending on how much stuff is going on. And it didn't push because I didn't have master selected. So make sure you select your branch that you want to push and that you have the right URL there, and then hit push. And there we go. And so of course I need to add my username here. So and I believe my username is actually my email. And so this will take a moment, and it may ask for my password a couple more times here. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. And there we see it. It has pushed to my BitBucket repository, contactweb.git, and it is there. My master branch is out there, and I had a success message again. So now we can go back out to our contact web repository, or whatever you named your repository, and just click on it again. And now you'll see at the top, you also have your URL. So you can get this anytime. Right here at the top, it tells you when you last pushed it, how many branches there are, etc. You can look at the source control directly. I can go into each of my folders and pull up my code. So if I want to look at, for some reason, if I wanted to look at my shared layout under my views, I could go to views, shared layout, and there I can see my code all right there in this current version. So we have successfully now wired up our change management source control to use Git against our BitBucket repository. And that wraps up this video. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.